Hey, it's Bob and Barb from HetteshWorld, and I kind of wonder, what is Bob looking at?
We have a leak. Stay tuned, we're going to investigate.
We're Bob and Barb. We've lived by the rules all of our lives, but in 2020, we threw that rule book out the window. We sold our home and moved full-time into an RV with our cat Amelia, and from now on, we will be living life our way. Don't you want to come travel in our world?
Here's our suspect, so we're gonna pull this top off and then look at the return and make sure it's sealed to the roof. We did talk to the factory, and they said that it's probably a issue where it's sealed to the roof, and we are going to investigate to see how good the sealing is. But
well, what we learned is that there's no like liquid sealant or anything,
no,
right? It's a
big, heavy, like weatherproof gasket
that they put on and put the thing on air conditioner on top of it.
Yeah, and it's held down by 4 bolts. We checked that out yesterday, but we're going to get more in detail today, and we'll take you along with us.
All right, so there's only 4 bolts that hold this on. One is right there. You can see it. One is really tight right down in here. And then...
yeah, we've already peeled the sealant off them. They were sealed in.
And then one is here. I'm missing one.
No, there's 3. There's 4 altogether. There's 2 in the front, 2 on the sides.
Okay. 2 in the front.
None of you ever had this apart before. This is your condenser coil. So this is the coil that gets dirty from outside air being pulled in by this blower. And then this is your insulated area. This is where your evaporator coil's in here. This is where the return comes from, and this is what we're gonna investigate today on this. But this cover comes off too. It's got some little 1/4-inch screws, and then it's got clips that hold it in place.
Yeah, yesterday the factory wanted us to strip off the goo that was on the little 4 things holding it down and then tighten it down, but don't go too far because we might strip it.
If Barb shines light down in here, you can see this is where the bolt comes through here, and you can see where they've sucked that down so tight they've actually deformed the roof a little bit.
And then they've puckered it. Let's see if we can.
Same thing with like right there where my finger is. You can see that pucker spot. So any place where this thing is not seated, it could be a potential leak.
Yeah, it didn't seem like the ones up here in the front didn't seem like they wanted to tighten it, and when we examined it further, we could see that it was already sucked way down. And this is all the goo, which was pretty hard to get off of them because they're supposed to be sealed for the life of the unit. Pretty much I poked holes in them with a little knife, little razor knife, and then Bob had a screwdriver and got it off.
You take these 5 little screws out. This is clipped on here, and this is all new for us too. I've worked on ACs before, but never rooftop RV ACs.
Yeah, we were thinking we would take it somewhere to get it serviced, and they were like, nah, you can do it.
But this area here, I had this off the other day because I was investigating, but this area here, you can tell water has gotten in here. And this stuff here has gotten wet and it fell down. And this is the return bucket in here. This tube right here going through the RV right here. If you can imagine, inside the camper, you got your return right here, your rectangular and your rectangular. And this is the return going across through here. This is where the air gets drawn in. It gets pulled across this coil. This fan pulls it across this coil, and then it passes it onto here on this side. And then it passes it down, and this passes into your camper right here on this side. And this blower over here takes care of your condenser coil. And this blower here takes care of your pulling the air in from the return and returning it back conditioned into the camper.
And the way it's supposed to work is that if water gets in there, it's supposed to have its own way of getting out.
Yeah, this
right?
is as this condenser condenses, it condenses, so you get, when it's hot out, you're going to get water. It builds up in this little trough, and then it drains. It's got this little tube right here. It drains just right onto the roof, and it just runs off and runs into the gutter. But what we're doing, when we get a rain, we're getting water coming against this thing, and somehow it's getting into this trough here for our return, and it's causing water to come out the vent. And we've only had it happen twice.
Yeah, so, the first time it happened, we thought it was just a fluke. The rain came in somehow through one of the vents, months had passed. It was pouring in yesterday.
Months had passed, and we have never had a problem. And then,
yeah, but we haven't been in a lot of rain either.
Yeah,
been a lot of dry areas, and now we're in Michigan where it's raining.
We're going to attempt, because we're going to take these 4 big lag bolts out, these 9/16 lag bolts, and try to lift this unit up out of the way to see if we can see if the seal is compromised at all.
Yep.
So that's our next step. These were pretty heavily coated. We had to pry the sealant off, and when we get done, we'll put die-core back on these. But these are lag bolts that the factory did, Riverstone.
So how many people do any kind of repairs in a state park? Because we're in Traverse City State Park in Michigan right now.
Yeah, normally this would be something that would probably go into the shop if you were, but we're full-time RVers, and sometimes it's not so easy for us to, you know, put the camper in the shop. And we knew that we'd be doing repairs when we needed to. So that's what we're having to do here. I mean, at least we're going to make the college effort. I think we found our issue. Like I said, the other day when I was in this trough, there was a little bit of water in there after a rain. There's a single lag bolt holding that in right there.
Yep.
When you raise this up, what do you see? Like they tried to screw it in 4 or 5 times.
That's why you're getting a leak.
Those are going right into that run.
I mean, what you find right underneath this roof is there's a space, and then there's your ceiling. I mean, there's some insulation, but there's not a lot between.
I mean, look, right here, Barbie. Right there. I mean, I don't understand. That's a hole.
The other 2 air conditioners, we don't have any issues with. No problems. So we're grateful. If it has to be one, that is the one in the living room. Maybe it'd been better to have one in the kitchen. It would have dripped into the sink. At least it's not on the bed. But this is horrible. So yeah, the factory made a mistake.
They made a mistake, and they never filled the holes in with some kind of die-core. But look how that's all pressed up. That's all going inside the roof there. So we're gonna have to fill that with die-core when we bolt this back down.
What's your hand?
You can see it's got a factory gasket that goes all the way around here. And we're gonna put.
Let me see if I can get down here.
We're gonna clean this roof membrane up with some die-core cleaner, and I'm gonna put a bead of die-core through here. But these holes here got to be filled. I mean, that's ridiculous right there. That is.
Do we fill them with die-core? Or?
Yeah, we're gonna fill those.
Yeah, you can even see, you know, the wetness and stuff. I'm gonna bring the die-core down. I'm gonna wrap it around here, and then I'm gonna put a big blob there and then set this back down. Blob.
The Phillies, because they got a hole here, a hole here.
Yep.
And I could see that from the outside. I could see that was puckered up.
Yep.
But this roof is what, a 1/2-inch thick plywood from the factory tour. These lag bolts, this one here was so tight in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little bit of a shim of wood down in there so we can suck this down. And this don't have to be really, really tight, but you can't see it on the camera, but this is all puckered up right here, because
I'll get it.
I mean, I can put this here next to it. You can see how that's all puckered up. They've drawn that down so tight that it's actually pulled that plywood up out of there. I mean, me personally, I think the best solution is putting a little die-core bead around there and not having to draw that thing down so tight. It'd be very simple. Just put a little die-core around this edge and then clean it up.
And then, but we'll still screw it down, but not.
Yeah, it's going to be screwed down. It has to be
screwed
down.
So is the gasket, is that the next thing we need to check to make sure the gasket is okay all the way around?
The gasket looks perfect. What happened is put a bolt in this hole here. They left that hole open. They left this hole open. On over here, on this side over here, they put the bolt hole in there, but they left the holes here. These holes here are going all the way into all the way through the wood.
Yep.
So I don't understand what that was all about. But
so Riverstone, our note to you on this is, we know people make mistakes, things happen, it's not right, but then you just have to fix it. You can't just pretend it's not there. Oh, look, Bob. There's 2 holes over here on this one too.
Yep, yeah, I know, on the back side too. There's 2 here. So it's like they put it down the wrong spot, and someone said, hey, you got that in the wrong spot. And they didn't fill the holes in. It's just part of, like they say, these things are built by humans.
Yeah.
And if humans don't build them correctly.
And humans make mistakes. I mean, I know it's really hard to believe that I and Bob actually make mistakes, but we do. But we fix it. So what are you doing now, Bob?
I'm using some of this rubber cleaner. It's a primer. And then we're going to use these bottles look terrible because they got wet, but this is lap sealant Dicor. We're going to put a bead around all this stuff and suck this down.
So you're just cleaning it right now?
Yeah, I'm just cleaning this up so this Dicor gets on here. It cleans it up.
So it's a pretty easy fix. We're cleaning it. We're going to fill it, right?
Yep.
We're going to set it back down, and then we're going to gently screw it in and put it back together. So while we're up here, I'll give you a little tour. You've got Traverse City Bay across the street, which is huge. It's like an ocean. And there's a little beach over there for the state park. And you come in here. And then when you come over here, you've got your check-in. And they do require you to not only have a permit, which we bought a Michigan State Pass because we've been going to a lot of the different parks for your vehicle, but also for your camper. I'm like, that's not nice. So we are right by the dump stations, and at the park they do have electric, which you can see down there at that guy's site. No water, no sewer. So we've been here almost 2 weeks, and we've been doing just fine with the water we came on board with. This has been all learning, but you know, the park goes kind of over that way, over there. They've got a whole series of bathhouses down here. I mean, we'll do a more detailed thing of the park, but it is very clean. We'll see what it's like coming up with July 4th, but I mean, what's it like to wake up and have that as your scene every day? We're going to prop up our air conditioner safely.
I'm going to do a MacGyver thing here. I'm going to hold these corners up with some wood so we can get underneath there and clean real well. We don't have to worry about this thing falling over on us. Now we got this all cleaned up. We're going to put a liberal amount of this Dicor lap sealant. If you ask me, this is what the factory should be doing, but
they just rely on the gasket here. Coast Guard helicopters fly over here all the time.
I'm just putting a bead along here so when a gasket sits down, it
seals.
It gives us a seal. I'm just trying to go to the edge of this. I can see the edge of this gasket where it was because it leaving an outline from a different color on the roof. The last campground we were at had pine trees, and it stained this roof, and we haven't had a chance to clean it because we're at a park that has no water. Yeah,
we were at St. Clair, and we've never had so many pine needles and so much sap. And then the water was kind of getting trapped in the sap, and it's not so bad with all the heavy rain. It's kind of helped clean it some, but it's not as clean as we would like it to be.
These holes here,
he's going to fill them.
I'm going to try to seal it down inside. And then we're going to put a big mount.
There's one in the back too.
Yeah, we're going to put a big mount around them. Because we don't care if it oozes out.
Yep.
This is self-leveling Dicor, but...
So he's going down in the holes to make sure they're full. And then we're just covering it up. And Dicor is weird because it's self-leveling, but it's still kind of a blob when it's done. And at first it bothered me because I like things nice and neat, but it doesn't bother me anymore. So Riverstone, my recommendation to you is to do this before you put the gasket on and then the air conditioner, just to be sure.
And we're going to put a bead across this between the return and the dump. We're going to put a gasket in here while we got it open, just so these two airs don't mix at all.
Yep.
It's got a big thick gasket, but we're just going to, while we're in here, we might as well do it. And this, you can see this hole here, how raised
it is.
How raised up that is. Yep. I mean, look. That's because they sucked that bolt down so tight they deformed that that plywood underneath there. But we're going to put a liberal amount on here. Don't ask me what a liberal amount is. It's just a lot.
It's a blob. So it's a pretty easy fix. It's nothing horrific. The air conditioner still works. We just, you know, and there's no more rain the rest of the time we're here, so we won't truly be able to test everything until it rains again, but we will do an update on this video and in a future video. But it's another river stone. If Bob can't fix it, we're all screwed video. And he doesn't even have a shirt on. So he did put some extra electrical tape in there because what was there got kind of destroyed by the water. It had fallen off, so he did kind of relayer all that as well. So we set the air conditioner back down, and then we just kind of had to find the holes, which wasn't too bad. You can see the dye core has oozed out, and that will dry and be just a little pile right there, but it'll be good. So the last thing we covered was the leg bolts, so that way there's nothing coming in. So now we're going to put this cover back on.
This guy just sort of snaps on there. Then it's got those little screws that hold it in place. And if you're going to do your yearly cleaning on this coil in here probably rarely needs to be cleaned unless your filters on your returns are really dirty. This shouldn't get really dirty. Now your outside coil, we had a lot of cottonwood trees, and we had a ton of it built up in there. So you want to check them at least probably 2-3 times a year. At least check it out. They do make outdoor cleaners that are environmentally safe. You can spray it off and then hose that unit out to clean those coils. These go on. These got little Phillips head screws. Hopefully we get a good day, let that dye core set up.
It's going to be 77 today and 70 the rest of the time we're here.
The return there, and the return on this side. This is the one we were getting the water coming out because I guess the camper was a little bit sitting this way, coming down through there. You can see how we made the repair up on the rooftop. And we will find out once we get a nice big rain up here in Michigan. Hopefully we get one before we leave. But that should take care of our problem, I believe, because look, y'all seen the multiple holes they had put. Looked like they tried to put it down a couple times, and they hit it in the wrong spot, and they lifted it up and shot more holes. I guess they were maybe hoping that the gasket would have stopped it, and then with the shifting of the camper going down the road, it probably shifted that gasket a little bit, and she started leaking on us. And
we're happy that after pulling it up, putting it back down, it works just fine. Yep. So if you like these videos, please give us a thumbs up.
Yep.
Please subscribe. Please comment.
They give us comments and say, would you have done this repair, or would you have sent it to the shop? We're full-timers, so we need to try to do all the repairs we can on the road if we can.
So remember, we're HetteshWorld.
Come travel in our world.
Okay, Bob, since June, it has really rained on and off a lot in our RV, and now it's March. So, how's our roof doing?
It's doing awesome. Since then, we've had several rains, heavy rains, 2-3 inches, and we have not had one leak whatsoever. So I believe our problem was solved because of the extra holes that were underneath the unit that the gasket was not covering.
So Mr. Fix-It fixed it again, and I am very grateful for that.
And with my lovely assistant, it was able to get done.